Today we're going to be talking about the road skills test, what you need to do to pass and prepare. I want to welcome you in. The most important thing is that you want to know how to drive prior to you getting there, because your road tester or instructor will expect you to do the basic maneuvers. You got to do the pre-driving checks. What does this mean? You're checking your tires. You're checking to make sure your headlights and taillights work. During the test, it may also ask you to identify some instrumentation, the blinker, fuel gauge, oil pressure, etc. When you're stopping, you want to use the ball of your foot, BALLFOOT. When you use the ball of your foot, you can squeeze the brake and thereby you won't slam it. If you're driving a manual, you want to gently let up the clutch as the car's in first gear and then give it gradual gas, because if you buck and surge the car, you will lose points. Next, smooth acceleration is critical. If you're very slow off the line, the instructor or tester may think, why are you going so slow? Typically, beginning drivers accelerate very slow. They take their time. So what I need you guys to do is practice when the light turns green, you want to look left, right, and left and make sure that you are up to speed, because if you go too slow, you will get marked down, and if you're going really slow, you could become a potential hazard, and that may be grounds for failure. Next, here's some common things I want to talk about to help you pass. If you strike an object, automatic failure. Hitting a curb, hitting a sign, hitting a pedestrian, right? So you don't want to hit anything. Next, failure to yield. It seems that something is so common, but a lot of beginners fail to yield and understand what needs to be done in terms of having a complete stop. You want to stop for 3 seconds, 1001, 1002, and 1003. This will allow the chassis of the car to stop, the weight will roll back, and you're motionless. Then you look left, right, and left. Then you can proceed. Next, a dangerous maneuver. Maybe you're making a left-hand turn and you didn't check to your left and there's a bike rider. That is that left cross that I was talking about, where a bicyclist is riding to your left and you only look at an angle, say a 30-degree angle, and you should be looking a full 90 degree, just like me scanning. If you don't look, you're going to miss a pedestrian, you're going to miss a car, you're going to miss a bicyclist. So you want to make sure you're really taking the time to look, because I know that you're going to be under pressure to pass your test, and you don't want to put pressure on yourself. So by you all watching me and me going over the test, explaining to you, you will have some idea what you should or should not do. Next, identify targets. If you're in a school zone, obviously there are kids there. Kids are excited. They don't understand the dangers of a car. Next, if you're in a downtown area, you have a lot of pedestrians. Pedestrians get struck at places we don't expect them to. In the parking lot, if you're going down a parking lot aisle and you're not looking left and right, someone walks out in front of you. Pedestrians also, if there's no sidewalk, you should be walking against traffic so they can see you. If there's a sidewalk, pedestrians should be walking on the sidewalk. Bicyclist, if there is, you should be riding with the flow of the traffic, never against the flow of the traffic. You want to make sure your vehicle's centered in the lane. You want to make sure your vehicle's centered in the lane, and when your vehicle's centered in the lane, that should be a little bit better. If your vehicle's centered in the lane, you won't be drifting to the right or drifting to the left. A lot of time beginning drivers, you're really squeezing that wheel really hard. Relax your grip, get more comfortable, take your time, breathe, okay? Your test will be about 45 minutes. You're going to be going through some neighborhoods, residential. You're going to be merging on off the expressway. They want to see you get up to speed, accelerate, mirror, your center mirror, your side mirrors. They want to see you look left and right before you cross railroad tracks. You have to be able to do those maneuvers. In the UK, the test is more involved. You're going to have to do roundabouts. We have roundabouts here in the United States too. So, and some instructors and testers may take you on that. Use a balanced approach on the steering wheel. The steering wheel is round unless you're driving a Tesla that has the yoke. Elon, the Tesla has the yoke, but the rest of us who have regular cars, the steering wheel is round. There's a hand placement of 9 and 3, 10 and 2, or 7 and 5. I'm much taller, I have very long arms. The 7 and 5 might be better for me, or the 9 and 3. There's no absolute best way to turn a steering wheel. I know you hear many instructors, I'll fail you if you have your hands differently. You're going to learn from me. You're going to learn from your mom. You're going to learn from your dad. You're going to learn from your friends. You have to drive comfortably. If you're stressed and have a lot of anxiety, you're going to have an accident. You're going to run a light. You're going to blow a stop sign. And that happened to me yesterday with one of my students. Luckily, I caught the brake in time and we looked. And I told him, you can't pull out in front of traffic. You have to stop. You have to look left, right, and left. And when you look, you are making sure it's clear. In some cases, the hand to hand, if you're doing slow maneuvers going around a curve, but don't focus on just the steering. You have to watch the whole driving environment. Downtown, a lot of lights, a lot of cars, pedestrians. Residential, you have little kids, you have people cutting grass, walking the dog. Main surface streets, you have delivery trucks, you have people coming in to work, coming out of private driveways, coming in. You have to be aware. You're going to be tested in various critical skills, such as selecting the best lane. Always turn into the nearest lane. If you're making a right turn, I want to see you look left, right, left, and turn into the nearest lane. Keep your turn as short as possible. This facilitates a smoother flow of traffic. Next, checks traffic and signals. You have to look. Remember I told you yesterday, a student didn't stop, did a rolling stop. I looked, there was a truck coming. I had to hit the brake. That's failure if you were on your road test. Next, verbalizes adequate gap. That takes some experience, and as you get more comfortable, you'll be able to look, and there's a gap. Traffic is moving at 50. You are at 0, waiting. They're about 75 feet away. That's a safe gap. Turn into the nearest lane. A gap is the space between cars. Beginning drivers don't understand spatial awareness, so you have to show them. Mom and dad, you have to teach them. Your instructor should be supporting you, helping you, and showing you. That's what a good instructor does. I'm a good instructor because I show my students. I'm here on this platform showing you and communicating to you. Next, completes the turns in the proper lane. If you start in the nearest lane by the curb and you drift to the left, that's potential failure because that's a conflict, an accident waiting to happen. So you do not want to turn into the wrong lane. Next, looks for open space, left, front, and right. That comes with time and experience, usually on the third drive. Some countries you have 10 drives, 15 drives, the fifth drive, the seventh drive. If your instructor is really positive and encouraging you and helping you and building that trust, that's what good instructors do. You can ask them any question and you will feel comfortable. Next, enters the curve at the proper speed. A lot of beginners go into the curve too fast. Centrifugal force will pull you, Pullyu, will pull you right off the curve and you'll end up in a ditch. So you want to go slow entering the curve. You'll get points lost if you're going too fast. Thank you, Jacob. It varies. Where I'm located, you have to score under a 25. Some states are 10. Some locations are 14. I try to prepare you. Most of the rules in the United States, you have to have four-way stops. You have to stay at the speed limit. You need to know right-of-way rules. There is a grading system that they use, and they check off certain areas, such as curves. If you go in too fast, they'll check that area off. If you maintain proper position, they might give you a +1. If you accelerate at the proper speed, that might be a +1. If you go too slow or too fast, that might be a minus. So there's a scoring system that they use. They maintain proper speed and spacing. That takes time. A lot of beginners go too fast. I had a young lady going 7 to 12 over. And then if you tell them to take their foot off, they go 10 to 12 under. So lane positioning and speed control does take time. Some examiners are very helpful, some are very quiet. It depends on the examiner. We all want you to pass. I want you to pass, but you have to know the danger of driving a car. CAR. It's a 4,000, 5,000 pound weapon if you blow a light, if you are not paying attention. So you need to pay attention and listen to your instructor, but also be focused on the environment, because if you're listening to someone talk, you could blow a light. If you're listening to someone talk, you just missed a pedestrian. So you have to be able to multitask. Driving is a multitask environment. Effectively manages risk. A kid comes out, you slow down, you move to the left. I'm smiling, I'm saying that's a good driver, they know what to do. Yields to pedestrian, you're going to a school zone. You are driving, it's 3:30, it's 4 o'clock, schools are getting out, you're gonna be flooded with 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds who are driving really fast or driving really slow, who stop all abruptly. So you have to keep room and keep space. This demonstrates the ability to select a gap and avoid hesitation. A lot of beginners hesitate. Left turns. You got to go up to the middle of the intersection. If you go too far, you're under the light, can't see it. If you don't go up far enough, you're going to make a really sharp turn and go in the left lane. I've had that happen to me before. So you have to understand 90-degree angles. Really, really important. Parallel parking, another fundamental thing, you have to know how to parallel park. You line your car up, you reverse back at a 45 angle, you turn your wheels all the way to the right, the rear goes in at a 45 angle, and then you turn the wheel back. The car will shift in just like that. I will get some cars and show you. Parking downhill and uphill. If you're parking downhill, you pull up your park brake, you turn your wheel all the way to the right. And if the car launches out of gear, the front wheels will lock. If you're parking uphill, you turn your wheels all the way to the left. You pull up your park brake. You always have to have good habits of putting your seatbelt on. When you first get into the vehicle, always put the seatbelt on. The first thing you do. Maintains proper speed. If the speed limit is 65, you should be about 65. If the speed limit is 70, you should be about 70. If you have to think about your speed, you're too slow or you're too fast. I went live this morning. If you're in the middle lane, that's the smooth lane. You'll see that video. If you're in the left lane, they're going much faster, and you've got to be up to speed. If you're slowing speed down, you're getting people to road, R-O-A-D, rage, R-A-G-E, and then they're ready to cut you off and tailgate you. So you want to be really mindful of that. Identifies and understands appropriate traffic signs and signals. It's a still green light. If you don't know what a still green light is, that's a light that's been green a really long time, and it can suddenly change. Occasionally, if my drivers are going too slow, I know what's going to happen to us. That light's going to change, and now my student driver is forced to make a harsh decision. Most of the time, it's not a good outcome, meaning you're going to have to slam brakes, we get rear-ended, or you're going to have to run the light. That is even more dangerous. So I tell my student drivers, keep your speed up. Don't stare down, look ahead, aim high, see, scan the intersections. You can't look down. Identifies and understands the appropriate signs. Yield. First car here is the first car to leave. Stops at the curb. You don't not want to strike the curb. understands the different vehicle capabilities and effectively shares the road with all trucks. Stay away from semi-trucks. There are 4 no zones: left side, right side, the front and the back. Stay away from trucks. Get in and out of that zone immediately. Effectively manages risk. There are pedestrians coming up. Are you slowing down? Are you going 15 or 20? You just pulled out onto a street. Are you at 10 and there's a semi-truck behind us and you're not even aware? So I think awareness of your environment is also helpful. Guys and ladies, if this was helpful, subscribe, give it a thumbs up. I do have a podcast out. It's on Spotify. It's called Driving with Myles. I have 2 episodes. I would appreciate it if you listen and give me some feedback. I'll put together more. Driving with Myles. I think it's Driving with Myles and other hot topics. Just look it up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Be safe. I'll go live later today. Bye.